I want to talk about that transfer because that got a lot of attention. She went from a low security Florida prison to a minimum security prison. It's been described as a cushy prison, a country club-esque prison. I mean, it's still prison, but it's one of the better ones. It's a prison camp, and it doesn't sound like the place that someone who was charged with really heinous sex crimes, including sex crimes involving minors, would go. I mean, what do you make of that move? Does that signal to you as a defense attorney that she provided really valuable information? Perhaps she snitched on someone? I mean, what does that really look like?
So before you actually give an information proffer as a client, as a defendant, you have an attorney proffer. Attorney proffers are basically the attorney having a long conversation with the prosecutors and saying, here's a preview of what you can expect my client to give you. Those proffers, by the way, can be held, whatever's gleaned in those proffers can be held against the client. So it's really important that you are able to provide some information, but you hold back enough that you're not totally giving away the farm, so to speak. But when you're giving them this proffer, you're putting your reputation on the line, showing that your client can provide this information, and that this information is going to provide some value to the prosecutor. Because the prosecutor sees no value in this proffer, then they're not going to go forward with it. So that's probably why she was moved to a minimum security prison at this point. Also because it's probably easier to access for the prosecutors. But it's probably a show of good faith that what she has is going to be well taken. We won't know for sure. I mean, we can't really know, right? What was said in between the prosecutor, the attorney, and Ms. Maxwell. But I mean, don't you think that there's got to be something that she's given so far to lead her to be transferred somewhere which is far better than where she was before?
I mean, it's a good question, and I think a lot of people have that question is, I mean, my assumption would be you had to have given up something good to get to that really good prison. That is what people say, that's a great prison to be if you are in fact in prison. And as we know, there has been renewed scrutiny over the relationship between President Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, who had a 15-year or so friendship. And like you said, reports have indicated that Ghislaine Maxwell said she never saw President Trump engage in what has been described as concerning behavior. She said that during her conversations with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche in July. Do you think that negative information was good enough for her to get transferred? Or is that just, do you think information from those 9-hour meetings are going to just drip out?
I mean, that's a very good question. We probably won't know until that actually happens. But I think that her talking about President Trump is a very good precursor, or a very important precursor to what we can expect her to say down the line. I think it's obviously in her best interest that even if something happened between Epstein and the president was there at one point, to leave his name out, to talk about him positively, to essentially back him, to show that the corruption doesn't extend to him. Whether that's truthful or not is going to be up to the public to decide, and really up to the prosecutor to decide. I think that at the very least, it's a showing of good faith. And I don't know if that alone was enough from her to get her transferred to a minimum security prison, but I think it's definitely taking steps in what we can see from her going forward. I also think that depending on how hard she goes on the president, that's what her hearing is going to look like. Right now, that both houses are controlled, but the House and Senate, are controlled by the Republican Party. They have the ability to grill her strenuously, completely, or to throw her a bunch of lowball questions and have her sort of monologue as to what's going on. They can also turn around and say that they think this is a giant miscarriage of justice when they're given opportunities to speak. We don't really know yet. I think that how she describes the president and her involvement with the president is going to determine how Congress deals with her and ultimately what she gets in the end.